No, Packers at Lions. Spread is sitting at 7.5. It's yet to move from the look ahead. And the total is 45.5. Initial thoughts here.
Yeah, I thought the look ahead was too large, even though I was a little bit skeptical of your Bears bet, which was very good, clearly, since they nearly won the game. And this wasn't one of the, I know people will just see turnovers and maybe think the Bears were getting, I don't think they were very lucky, particularly in that game. One was off a hand, but I think Jared Goff earned those, and
he was bad.
And yeah, the Lions were right there in terms, they were down 1 yard per play or whatever, but they didn't get steamrolled for sure. The way you see Bills Broncos or whatever, where the Bills lost, but they were plus 3 yards per play. This was not a game like that. And I think for me, it's just on the wrong side of 7, to be honest. I kind of think the Packers have been playing pretty good, man. Ever since, unfortunately, I had way too much money on the Steelers against the Packers. Obviously I won, but unfortunately in the sense of I had to watch that whole game, and it was a painful sweat. The Packers played pretty good, man. Now that their offensive line has gotten healthy, they look like a decent team again. And this Lions defense just keeps getting shredded on a weekly basis. The Chargers obviously had that ridiculous game against them where nobody could get a stop. And then now the Bears, I like Justin Fields. I still am probably never going to be able to give up on him because of some of those plays like he had when he's rolling out on the edge, one-on-one with a defensive lineman and makes him fall down and look silly. And, it's a gain of 7, but it's just man, those plays are, not many guys can make those plays, And anyways, but it's the Bears, at the end of the day, this is just a mediocre offense at its very best, right? So they're moving the ball on the Lions. Pretty much everyone's moving the ball on the Lions. Last time these two teams played, I watched that game obviously pretty closely because it was an island game. The Packers got killed up front by the Lions on offense. But that was with, I went back and checked to make sure, but yeah, there was 2 starters out, both on the left side. Left guard and left tackle were both out. Something called Royce Newman and something called Rasheed Walker were starting, and they got wrecked by the Lions. I
had the Packers in that game. That was rough.
Same, and it was a painful watch. We definitely weren't going to come close to that one, and that was fine, but that was a big reason why, right? So with these guys back, this protection has been looking so much better. Against the Steelers pass rush that I think everyone pretty much respects, the Packers dominated the Steelers pass rush in that game. They were building some incredible pockets for Jordan Love. And when Jordan Love is protected, he looks fine. So the problem with Love is when he's under pressure, everything just goes out the window. His mechanics, his accuracy, his decision-making, it just all goes bad. So
he made some impressive plays. I know you were on Green Bay yesterday. Credit to you for your bet. I almost bet that, but you actually made the wager against the Chargers. And Brandon Staley had his fair share of issues that maybe we'll touch on when we get to Ravens-Chargers. But Love actually made some impressive plays outside the pocket.
He's been making some plays ever since his line has gotten back to healthy. And then you see a spot where Aaron Jones is out. I think that might be a good thing. Aaron Jones has sucked this year. I haven't watched one Aaron Jones play and been all right, looks good. A.J. Dillon's been better than him, I think. I checked the PFF numbers. They think he's been way better. They have him grading 25 points better than Aaron Jones, which honestly makes sense to me when how I've watched them this year. So I think more A.J. Dillon, less Aaron Jones might be a good thing.
Might get a better number because of it, too.
Yeah,
slightly.
That's the thing. If anyone thinks that matters, that's definitely helpful. Obviously, I think Green Bay's defense could have a tough time in some spots. Detroit's probably going to pound the rock, and they probably are going to have some success doing it. But if the Bears can move the ball on this team, then I think Green Bay can as well. They have an offensive schemer at head coach, too, where the Bears do not. And you see how bad Jared Goff's been struggling against zone defense in some spots, just throwing it right to linebackers' faces.
That was yesterday.
I think people are just going to copy that and make him make some plays. And the Packers use zone at a fringe top 10 rate. I think they're 10th in zone entering this past week. So that might help them as well on defense here. So, yeah, I like the Packers at 7.5, man. I think it's just too high.
I'm going to justify, this is the first time we've been aligned in a long time, and I'm going to justify pretty much everything you said. So, Lions pass defense ranks number 23 now in dropback success rate. When we recorded the podcast last week, going into the Bears game, they ranked 19th. So, they've taken 4 spots backwards. Jordan Love coming off his best showing, as you alluded to. Top 10 in week 11 in EPA per dropback success rate, and completion percent over expected. I know the Chargers' pass defense has been vulnerable, but so is this line secondary. And then you brought up a healthy Packers offensive line. Believe it or not, Green Bay ranks second in the league. Not in the NFC, not in the NFC North, but second in the league in pass block win rate entering last week, week 11. And this Packers run defense, now here's my only concern. And you touched on this, but it's actually a little bit better since they got Devontae Campbell back, but his status is questionable for the game. Not that that's going to move the line, but I am kind of a little wary if Campbell doesn't play, because since Campbell came back, and he's their best run-stopping linebacker in week 8, the Packers have an above-average run defense when it comes to both EPA per carry allowed and rushing success rate allowed. So having Campbell healthy in this game, or at least on the field, you mentioned Aaron Jones may miss time. I think the Packers, after the game, I was reading some of the reports that it doesn't seem like it's a torn ACL, so it's not going to be a long-term injury, but considering it's a short week, you would expect him to miss the Lions game. Jair Alexander did not play against the Chargers. Neither did Rudy Ford, their safety. So maybe they get those guys back, which would obviously benefit the secondary. But having Campbell in this lineup is big against a rushing-centric Lions offense. And we saw yesterday what happens when Jared Goff has to drop back a bunch. It helped at the end of the game when going up against that Bears pass defense when the Lions scored 2 touchdowns in the final 3 minutes, but not over the full course of a full game. So I'm hoping that we get a better number on the Packers. I'm cautiously optimistic that we will, but I think I'll be on the Packers either way at 7.5 or better, getting over a touchdown. So we're aligned there. Any thoughts on some of the metrics I brought up?
No, just it all makes sense, to be honest. And yeah, I think I would just add not only what you said about Jordan Love being in the top 10 in EPA, I believe he was in the prior week as well against the Steelers. Like, he's playing legitimately pretty solid. And I think we know from watching him, and PFF grading definitely backs this up, which is he's been a disaster at times under pressure, but if you give him a pocket, he can make plays. He can make plays downfield too. I think that's big when you're an underdog too, when it's going to be harder to sustain drives against a superior team, So getting chunk plays is big, and they've been getting chunk plays the last couple weeks. Jaden Reed is making a difference there.
Yeah, outside of Brian Branch, the Lions rookie nickelback, I think, who's been playing it really well and nearly had an interception yesterday of Fields, the secondary is very exploitable. Cam Sutton and everybody else. So Mo and I in agreement there.